Hey guys, this is how not to win the lottery. Now we've all, I'm sure, been tempted by those massive jackpots. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to win $1.6 billion? To give some context on just how big the lottery is, here in the United States alone last year, over $80 billion was spent, which is equal to $250 for every man, woman, and child in the entire United States of America. This is more than every other form of entertainment in the United States combined. Video games, $13 billion last year. How about sports and concerts? $11 billion. Movies? Also $11 billion. The lottery is a big business. However, like any form of gambling, there are always those who want to take advantage of the system. This could be everything from people making fake tickets to cashiers just deciding to keep that winning ticket to themselves. In 1980, a scandal broke out in the Pennsylvania State Lottery, which was quickly known as the 666 Fix, or 666 if you want to be edgy. Nick Perry teamed up with Peter and Jack Maragos to fix the daily number game. Perry was the announcer for the TV station that drew the numbers, WTAE in Pittsburgh. To game the system, the trio approached the art director for the station, Joseph Bach, to create weighted replicas of the balls. Very clever. I feel like this is like the scene from Better Call Saul where he did the same thing. He squirted the ink inside the balls. The con was simple. The weighted balls were too heavy to be picked up by the machine, so only the non-weighted balls would be drawn, thus almost guaranteeing a win. Bach, just like our friend Jimmy McGill, injected the balls with a little bit of latex paint, which added just enough weight to mean that they would not be able to be picked up by the machine, thus almost guaranteeing that the non-weighted balls would be selected for the winner. In fact, he did guarantee it because it worked. To avoid detection, Perry and his crew, being the criminal masterminds that they were, decided that instead of weighing down 9 of the 10 balls and thus getting like a 111 number, which sounds a little suspicious, instead they would weigh down all but 2 balls. With every ball weighted besides 4 and 6, they guaranteed that they would get only one of 8 different draws. 444, 446, 466, 666, 644, 646, 646, and 464?
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
I think so.
I think I missed one, didn't I? What that meant is that the crew only needed to buy 8 combinations of numbers to be guaranteed to win. Making the scheme even more nefarious is that a different local senior citizen was selected each week to do the draw, which meant that they weren't really familiar with the weight of the balls. As you might imagine, the plan worked perfectly. On April 24th, 1980, on live television, the number 666 was drawn on a record $3.5 million jackpot. No one spotted any evidence of tampering during the draw, but the day before, more than just a little bit of suspicion was roused by the Maragos brothers. These bright fellows went from place to place, consistently buying lots of tickets with just the 8 numbers that were guaranteed to win. You know, because staying under the radar is important when you're doing lottery scams. The entire scheme was brought down by a single anonymous tip from a bar owner who saw someone arguing in Greek over a payphone, and then they held the phone up to the lottery machine to prove that the tickets were actually being purchased. That's not suspicious or anything. The police, or the Lotto Police, if that's a thing, traced the call back to the TV station, which very quickly connected the Maragos brothers with the only other Greek-speaking person there, Nick Perry. Since then, lottery systems have largely moved away from things like ping pong balls over to all digital systems, which, as I'm sure will be a surprise to exactly no one, have also been targeted. In 2016, Eddie Tipton, the information security director of the Multi-State Lottery Association, and boy is that a mouthful, got arrested for tampering with the Iowa State Lottery. This was not a story of a super elite hacksaw who worked his way into the mainframe. Instead, he just used his influence to get access to the main system, and then he used a rootkit to just change the code on the main lottery computer. The rootkit he installed was actually very clever. It only changed a very small part of the code, which was never actually properly audited, and essentially what it allowed you to do was to guarantee the outcome of a draw on very rare occasions, like say every year and a half. This scheme worked surprisingly well for years, right up until the point where Eddie Tipton walked into a store and purchased a lottery ticket himself, which is actually highly illegal, as obviously someone who works for the Lottery Commission shouldn't be able to, purchase lottery tickets. That's not a good idea, and thus he was caught. And one of the really crazy parts of this entire story was when they started to do the research, he had given winning tickets and winning numbers to many friends and families over the years, which had made millions and millions of dollars off of that lottery. During the investigation, it was discovered that Tipton had been running his scams in multiple states since all the way back in 2005. If being a criminal isn't your thing, what about trying to win the lottery legally? And by that, I mean, what happens if you have lots and lots of money and you want to risk it on what is probably a terrible, terrible investment? So if you're like Matt, you're probably not into being a criminal, I hope, But you might be interested in trying to find a way to win the lottery legally, besides buying a ticket every week and hoping you finally win something, because that's lame. Do a quick Google for this, and you'll find that there's an incredibly popular strategy. Just buy every single ticket.
You can't lose.
Literally, you actually can't lose.
Literally.
When it comes to a huge jackpot like the $1.6 billion that was recently won, that'll leave you a cool $1 billion of profit. Before taxes, of course. In 1992, an Australian investment firm decided to buy every single possible combination of the Virginia Lotto jackpot. With only 7 million combinations at $1 each for a $24 million payout, it's actually a fairly attainable goal. The problem with this strategy is that there's only a limited amount of time to buy tickets before the next drawing, and the investment company in this case was only able to buy 5 million of the overall 7 million combinations. Even without every possible ticket, the Australian firm actually did win their lottery, netting them a cool quadrupling of their profit over 20 years. So, not bad. Move over to the Mega Millions, and that is where the math very quickly turns against you. Assuming you were able to buy a ticket every second, and spoiler alert, you can't, it would take you 9.5 years to purchase every single combination. Since there are only 96 hours between draws with the Mega Millions, that means that realistically, you instead have to buy 976 tickets every single second for 96 hours straight. So unless you're Mr. Beast, that's probably not going to happen. This strategy also completely relies on having no other winners in the jackpot. Even though it's fairly rare, it definitely does happen sometimes where multiple people will have those same numbers and have to split the jackpot. Even with the recent record-breaking $1.6 billion jackpot, if you have to split it with even a single other person, you're going to lose millions and millions of dollars, largely thanks to the taxes. Let's do the math on this, shall we? So we start out with a $1.6 billion jackpot, which when you cut it in half brings you down to $800 million. Then you have to subtract 40% roughly for the actual taxes, then giving you a total of $480 million. Now, once you consider that you've spent $605 million on tickets, you have a net negative of $125 million. That's not a lot of return on your 700 plus ticket per second weekend. Yes, my friends, you will be losing $125 million by winning the lottery. So, probably don't do that. So that, my friends, is how not to win the lottery. If you want to do something a lot smarter than, being a criminal or buying 876 tickets per second, check out some of our other This Is episodes over here, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for lots more interesting weekly facts like this. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go not play the lottery.